All right, so we've got the same measurements going on. We're going to see if we can build some boost and if we have good vacuum at the lines. We did end up changing the one crusty line that I was originally tapped into just for good measure. And we've got the good diaphragm and the pump. So we're going to go ahead, test drive it, see if we get a good result. Let's see. Let me change my stuff here. Okay, no. Yeah, we're good. So first two channels, blue and red, are boost sensors. And then green and yellow are vacuum readings for the at the pump and at the wastegate. Okay, so that's a good sign so far. The vacuum for both traces has gone down, really down to 12 and change. So that's a good sign. So we'll get out here on the road, see if we can make the red and blue travel upwards into positive boost pressure as opposed to before, which was going downwards in a negative range because of a void and no boost built up. Alright, so we are getting ready to do a full throttle pull, see if we build some boost. No power.
Just like regular, yeah.
Okay, so we're back from the test drive, and obviously from the still picture that I had put up, you can tell we still did not make any boost as far as the pressure sensor readings. The one thing that did change and we got working right is the vacuum level did shoot down to a very strong level, and both channels did shoot down, especially at the point where we're demanding boost. But again, weird and odd that we are still not building boost for both banks. So we're sitting here in the shop. We're gonna do a kind of a quick test, which I'll show a more just a simple test that you can do visually, but I'll show you here on the scope what it looks like, and we'll relate it to what it looks like out in the engine bay. So at idle, you will want to start it, let it run, and I'll show you what the boost pressure does. So this is boost pressure. As we showed, we're getting good vacuum. And we'll let it warm up real quick. And at idle, you want to do a hard throttle snap. That should shoot up. So go ahead. You can tell our boost pressure went down negative. So we'll do one more time. Again, we're not building any boost. The pressure readings are actually going down because in the charge pipes there is a void. Pressure's not being filled, so we are almost creating a vacuum. So as you can see there. So let me open this up just to show you better. But again, this is what we saw in the test drive, how this goes down instead of up. So let me go outside the car and show you how you can do a crude visual. What you want to do is, if you have rubber section in your charge pipe, you want to visually look at them when you rev it up. If they're not pressurizing the system, this will collapse, because like you saw on the graph, when it goes into negative vacuum, it's creating a vacuum, and it'll collapse these. if the turbos are creating pressure, these will actually swell up, become bigger because it's filling in the charge system. So we'll go ahead, rev it up. Hopefully this will catch on camera. Watch these two pipes. Again. Again. As you can see, it kind of squeezes itself. So that's physically us seeing that vacuum level that you see in the boost pressure sensor reading. Okay, so at this point we were left with basically nothing else other than to physically eyeball and check the turbos. Being that everything around the turbos was present, sensors were reading correctly, no boost leaks, everything that is needed to get the turbos to operate and build boost was there, good, present, and working. We just had to get some eyeballs on the turbo. It was very hard to think that both turbos would be, let's call it, broken or damaged or physically messed up, because you wouldn't expect both to be dead. We're dealing with two banks, two turbos, so on and so forth. I've not run into where, on top of the vacuum problem, where two turbos are going to be physically messed up and not boosting at the same time. Okay, so we're doing one last actual physical inspection because of what we continue to see, and we theorize that the turbos are bad. Basically, the wheel's not spinning. It's just hard to believe that both are doing the same, but that's why we are physically looking at it. So obviously there's the impeller, and these should spin real freely, and there's a lot of force there, and you can tell the screwdriver's bending and that wheel is not spinning. We'll move over to this side to show you this bank as well. And there you go. Screwdriver's bending, wheel is not spinning. Both turbos are physically not able to produce boost because the impellers are not spinning. Again, these will suck in because air's not moving because the wheels ain't spinning, like we saw with the boost sensors, that it goes into vacuum instead of positive pressure, again because air's not moving. So obviously we've rectified the vacuum to the turbos, but there was more to it than that, which he physically has bad turbos. If we would have checked this and sold them turbos, whatnot, so on and so forth, yeah, we would have found that as a problem, but we still would not have had boost, because you can't have boost if the wastegate doesn't have enough vacuum, which then we would have looked, let's say, like we misdiagnosed, even though we know the turbos were bad, but then we would have had to try to find out why it wasn't boosting. So I think this is why we went the route we did, to make sure you have everything at the turbo as far as control and vacuum and no boost leaks, so on and so forth. Then if everything around turbo is good, go ahead and start looking physically at the turbo. So as you can tell with that last picture of the boost sensors after the turbos were replaced, we still had one turbo giving us problems. You see the offset in the pressure readings. One was boosting, and the other was boosting it, just wasn't boosting enough, and that actually was generating a trouble code for the bad bank. Pretty sure it was bank 1. And so after that, and this is part of why there's not much more footage. It just started to get time consuming and a little bit frustrating and whatnot. But just to finalize and explain everything, we ended up checking everything more, or on that bank. We almost got desperate. We were swapping the pressure converters. We were double checking vacuum lines. What else? The diverter valve. Just everything, because they're completely physically different turbos. It's boosting, but not boosting enough. So there was some sort of a boost leak or not build up enough. And finally, we stopped for the night, went on to the next day, decided to pull that turbo off and take a look at it, see if there's some we missed before installing it. And I've gotten rid of those turbos, but this is an example of kind of what we ended up doing. This is off of N20. It's the exhaust housing, the hot side. There's no cold side or no impeller here either. But what the problem was with that guy is, let's see, if you see that, hopefully, so that opens and closes. So that's the wastegate valve. That'll block off, and that's how you build boost. If you are not seated well, tight, whatnot, you'll bleed off some boost. But basically, the face there on the turbo housing that this sits up against, so there, the face, it had a small crack in the housing, and that's where we were bleeding off and leaking some buildup of boost through basically kind of a wastegate leak because the housing was cracked. So at that point, we were just dumbfounded, frustrated, whatnot, but we still had his original turbos. And what we ended up doing right then and there, we took the turbo apart. We took the hot side off of his bad original turbo where the impeller was stuck, but it was actually stuck on the cold side. So the hot side area was not damaged. We transferred all the guts into that housing and put it all back together, test drove it, and finally both sides made the same amount of boost pressure. Everything was good, fine and dandy at that point, and we could finally say that we were 100% completely done and having that vehicle running in a good, proper boost building way. So it was a journey, unexpected journey. Tried to be as methodical and strategic as we could to avoid issues, but we still ran into a lot of surprises. But a learning experience. Customer was happy, made it back home to Chicago, texted me when he got home, no issues, everything was fine, was building boost, and he got the outcome, I guess, that he was expecting, and the reason why he came down this way. So that is all on this one. I hope you enjoyed the whole overall scenario, and at my expense with the frustration. But other than that, thank you for watching. That's all on this one.